Okay, shalom, shalom. Kwam Yasha Allah. Koholoyim la Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Kahakwadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and that by the Spirit taught us this beautiful truth. Just want to say the water to all the H.I.M and Akwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai to the best of their ability. This is Yachanan Nawah. It's coming at you with another quick lesson. I'm praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. And I came across an article earlier about Babe Ruth. Matter of fact, the Aki texting me right now. Yeah, it says for real, ain't no fucking way Esau moving like that with Judah back in the 1920s. But anyway, basically, I saw this article right here, right? And the Ox sent me a couple of nice videos too. It's just in my other phone, but this was the article. You know, I'm pretty. I guess I had no idea that this guy hung out with Jake like this. But overall, it says Babe Ruth with fans in 1925. Ruth was popular with black fans, which there's no such thing as black people. We're Israelites, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. These colors are social constructs that were created by the so-called white man because they're not actually white. They're actually pinkish to reddish in color. And you have different shades of brown people. Those are pretty much the colors that's on the planet, man. Okay, but it says he was popular amongst so-called blacks. This was in part because of persistent rumors at the time that he was of African American descent. And the one video that the brother sent me, the brothers are sitting there talking about it, and he was like, they do a DNA test. It's gonna come back. He gonna be a Negro, man. But he was pretty much he was saying that so-called white people not gonna allow no shit like that because see they came up with these skin color. Like I said, it's a social construct and it's not really ethnicities. And since the Babe Ruth looked like a so-called white man, of course they gonna keep that hero. They ain't never allowing you to it's almost like Eminem. You know what I'm saying? Like, Eminem is like their great white hope. But, we believe that he's a Jake. But anyway, it says Ruth was known. It says, according to baseball historian Bill Jenkinson, who wrote a book on Ruth in 2007, Ruth's popularity stemmed in large part as well to his decision to play games against Negro League teams in the mid-1920s at a time when others refused to do so. He spent many nights in Harlem. Yeah, man, you ain't going to Harlem, bro. This gotta be Jake. It says Ruth was known to frequent New York City's Cotton Club and befriended black athletes and celebrities. He once brought Bill Robinson, a tap dancer and actor known as Bojangles, into the Yankees clubhouse. Robinson also was with Ruth during the 1932 World Series in Chicago. And at the game, when Ruth was said to have called his home run. When Ruth died in August 1948, Robinson was his honorary pallbearer. Jenkinson wrote that when the Babe passed in 1948, the response from minority communities all over the world was visceral. Not only did every African American newspaper in America publish articles expressing profound grief and loss, there were comparable declarations from the Latino population, also Israelites, in Cuba, Mexico, and it says the Philippines, and it's generally Northern Kingdom, man. For example, in Mexico City, the SCR, probably butchering that shit, but I guess that's the name of the newspaper. It says all epochs have their heroes. Babe Ruth was the hero of modern generations. He has died, but he is still with us, and that's pretty much what they have in the and I didn't check any comments of these. It says the Babe was also black, but no one wants to talk about that. Nah, Esau not coming up off of that, man. Somebody says, do you have genealogy records to prove that, sir? Birth certificates. And again, like I said, when you go off into it, if you put in our white and black social constructs, AI, it'll give you the rundown on it because it's some shit that Esau came up with. But a couple of these little videos. They got some shorts in here and stuff like that. Let's see what a few of them got to say.
You think Babe Ruth was black, and does it matter? It does matter. And I don't know if Babe Ruth is black, but I will say this. If you look at a picture of, say, what's my man's name? Walter White. Old school NAACP.
Yes.
So whoever's listening to this, go pull up a picture. If that man is black, how is Babe Ruth not? And they are contemporaries. Like, we have to remember, who we looked at and said was black was much different then than it is now. You drive Jada's, I'll call these cats like him the Opelousas All-Stars. You drop Babe Ruth off in Opelousas, Louisiana. He has to explain white, if white is what he is going to explain.
There you have it. Let's get the script though. Numbers. And this is the proper way to go about ethnicity, man. Not no damn mixed or no biracial and multiracial. You're 10% this, 20% that, 50% this. You know, Esau, again, he came up with all that, man. And biblically, this is the way that lineage goes right here. Numbers chapter 1. I'm just going to jump to verse 2 here. It says, take ye the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel, after their families, by the house of their fathers, with the number of their names, every male by their poll. And that's exactly how ethnicity goes. You know, it goes through your father. Your father, he carries the seed. And whatever that male is, that's exactly what the children are. It doesn't make no difference how the child turns out looking. You know, because again, if a so-called black, Hispanic, or Native American man were to get with a so-called white woman, or a Chinese woman, or, you know, Japanese, or whatever the case may be, those children are going to be Israelites. Because Jake got, you know, we just got that certain type of spark, man. Jake got that seasoning. Jake is the salt of the earth, man. But now it goes on to say, let's jump to the point, and you can see right here too, that, you know, it goes on in verse 6 to name off the tribes. And they are all men. It's not no women got nothing to do with this, man. Verse 18, though, it says, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upwards by their polls. So your ancestry, your family line, some people will call it a family tree. You know? But it goes through the dad every single time, man. But again, you know, you got Esau out here. He confuses every damn thing. The man is just destructive as hell. Oh, this is the video that the Ox sent me right here too.
But I'm telling y'all, Babe Ruth is a brother. I don't care what y'all. I don't care what nobody say. I'm just telling you. I'm telling you, if they could somehow get his DNA and look that 23andMe or whatever that stuff is called,
They ain't gonna let that happen, dog.
I know that. I understand they ain't gonna let it happen. But I'm looking at facial features. I'm looking at the hair. Even there's pictures of him outside the Cotton Club with that lean. You know, every now and then we got a lean. He got all that, man. I'm being honest with you. I'm telling y'all.
Yep, hey, Jake got that swag, man. What's this shit? Well, let me see what this is. Lock.
The slap across Black America, the slap that was heard from Black Americas. And salute to Tariq Nasheed. Once this came out, then everybody started coalescing and putting the real receipts out of the whole brawl. This is the last thing I'll say about these type of situations.
Okay, so Lock, I was thinking they was gonna go off into the Babe Ruth hookup. Let's get this one.
I don't think it's white folks. I think it's Negroes. I do not think this is white folks. It could be. It could be white folks. But I think it's Negro. I think a Negro did this. I don't think it's white folks. I think it's Negroes. I do not think this is white folks. It could be. It could be white folks.
Yeah, man. Well, I guess that somebody asked Spike Lee. Let's see what he got to say.
Enrique?
Brenda, so was Babe Ruth black?
Maybe it doesn't really matter, but Spike Lee is bringing it up. He wrote an article for a new magazine called Gotham that poses that question. George Herman Ruth, the Babe, a legend, one of the best baseball players ever, the Sultan of SWAT. But in a game where the color barrier wasn't broken until the 50s, comes rumor that baseball's ultimate hero was part black.
I did not discover this. I did not manufacture this. People been talking about this since the 1920s.
Spike Lee is an actor, a director, and now a sports writer for Gotham magazine. He says he heard the stories about the Babe, and now he's writing about it.
This is something that Ty Cobb talked about, and so there's always been speculation, but now with DNA, you can really, all we did was suggest an article. Now with DNA, DNA doesn't lie. That's all we're saying.
Dave Kaplan is a baseball historian and is director of the Yogi Berra Museum and Learning Center in Montclair, New Jersey. He says the story about Ruth have been passed down for decades.
When he was playing with the Yankees, he was called black. He was called black so often that a lot of people began to believe he was partly black. And the truth is that Negro League players were secretly rooted for Babe Ruth, thinking they had a secret brother.
There's no real way to find out if the Yankee slugger had black blood in him unless you dig up his grave and get a DNA sample. But that's never going to happen. In his article, Spike asked the all-time home run leader Hank Aaron about Ruth possibly being part black. Aaron said they're not going to dig up the Babe. They're going to live with that for the rest of their natural-born lives. They don't want that revealed, that there could be an ounce of black blood in him, one drop, and that's it. Joseph Stoyer is the editor-in-chief of Gotham.
Okay, so if you notice, they keep talking that part black shit, part. But there's no such thing as part, man. The scriptures clearly indicates and tells you how lineage goes, man. It goes through your dad, man. Don't make no difference what the baby come out looking like. It goes through your dad. You are exactly what your pops is, man. It just is what it is. But that's interesting that they would say this, because that's true. They're not about to allow, one of their so-called heroes of the day, to have any parts with us anyway, especially around that time, But that's pretty much about it, though.
Magazine. Stoyer says this controversial article will sell magazines.
Babe Ruth is at the heart of America and what America stands for, and I don't think that everybody wants to believe that America stands for black people, unfortunately.
On the YouTube music.
Yep, well, there you have it, man. So again, I didn't want to keep this long. The bro just sent me them videos, and I was like, well, damn, let me go back off into my history and see if I can find the story. And hey, man, I definitely believe he Jake, man.
So there have been persistent rumors about Babe's race, specifically that he was black or mixed. Some of the reasons why people thought this was that he had relationships with African-American women and was friendly toward black players, fans, and black celebrities. And he supported integration in 1947.
This guy's not racist. He must be black. It's the only explanation for his lack of a...
So there have been persistent rumors.
Yeah, come on, man. That was a serious time. 1920s. So look at right now, 2025. The way these damn Edomites is acting. So around that time, I couldn't have seen this guy just in the hood, just hanging out with Jake like that, man, and dealing with so-called black women and stuff like that, man. I can't see it. But anyway, again, just wanted to just chop something up on that real quick. For new believers that come into this truth, this is one of those. I think the Apostle Gabar, he done something on basically simple things that can, they seem like it could be a dark saying, so to speak, but some of the simple things that we should know, before going out to teach and stuff like that, that you can't go by skin color when you're teaching. You have to, try the spirit. You gotta, try and inquire about, do they know, their actual ethnicity, maybe their father, grandfather, great-grandfather, or whatever, certain questions you can ask, and just trying the spirit. Because believe it or not, it's so-called white people out here that's, just as dark as this guy right here in the corner right here, Because the Lord, he created 18 nations, and all of us have a biblical nationality. It's not this black, white, Chinese, Japanese shit. None of that exists in the Bible. And these are social constructs that Esau came up with, and, you know, crafty counsel, man. Because he's got, you know, the people out here thinking that he looking like a damn glass of milk or something, when actually he's pinkish to reddish in color. And that's Esau. He's being described in Genesis chapter 25. You know, so, but again, it's not about skin color. You got to get around that if you out on these highways and byways teaching. Because we've been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, you know, and our men have had sex with women of all the nations. And over time, you know, we've lost, you know, certain bone structure, certain size, or, you know, just a skin color, so to speak. We done lost all that, man. You know? So you got to keep that in mind. You could be talking to an Israelite. You know, you had these guys out here have, you know, what appears to be an Edomite kissing their boots and shit. And, not even asking them, you know, well, what's your ethnicity? I've seen videos like that. Well, like, goddamn, you ain't even ask them. Like, you got to at least check into it. But anyway, with that, I pray that the lesson was edifying. Kwame Sha'Allah and the Baba Ball.